And we are back, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Kaboom Town. We have the amazing, the indefatigable, the one and only Sami Chlagou, who is coming to us from France. And man, this guy, I'm telling you, if you are not wearing a seatbelt, like let's just say you're sitting at home at your desk, like tie yourself to your chair, like fasten your seatbelts, ladies and gentlemen. He is one of my favorite entrepreneurs on planet Earth. We've done some AMAs together on Twitter Spaces. We got to hang out a little bit in New York City at NFT NYC, and he is as advertised. He's a modest guy. He's a fun guy. He's an amazing guy. But I am going to absolutely just put the spotlight on this man and what he's been building. I believe that the tip of the spear for Web3 are games, and there is going to be a 10 million MAU game that is going to put Web3 on the map. 3.4 billion gamers, they love virtual items, they're comfortable with communities. That is going to put the flag in the sand for Web3. And this man, his company, his game, I think could be the one to do it. You heard me say it. So, Sami, welcome to the pod.
Welcome. How do I do now? You put like the level here. It's more than an opera show.
This is what you do. This is what you do. You tell everybody out there in podcast land about your recent launch.
Oh yeah. So thank you very much to having me this morning. I'm super excited. We are so happy, because we're not like the fourth, the third, the second, but we are the first application on App Store in France and Europe to be downloaded. It's a huge milestone for us because you are in front of Clash Royale, Pokemon Go, Clash of Clans, all this game like strategy game. Completely insane for us, to be in front of Marvel Snap, Hearthstone, Yu-Gi-Oh! It's mean a lot. Why? Because it's the first time that a Web3 game is standing in front of Web2 major game. The reality is when you created the game, your competitor is all the Web2 opponent and not the Web3 or the game. So people don't care about how much do you raising, how many time you spend to build your game. They just need to have a game working properly. So if your game is not working properly, they will destroy you. If the game is not good, they will destroy you. And having a game, because in my opinion, Cross the Ages is 30% complete. It's not complete yet. However, we have 4.9 rate on 5. So it's completely insane. And people, are pretty happy of the experience. And we scale the experience every week. So every week we created a new kind of download for the new player, and they're very happy, to see how we improve the game, and we're gonna still improve it. But this is for us a major step since we was able, we were thinking to do that in end of June, beginning of July, but not now because it was too early. But you know what? We say, okay, we're gonna see with the organic people how it's gonna work, and being able to be in front of this major, because we was on the top 5. We were on the top 5, sorry, for the 3 last week, and now this week, starting from yesterday and even today, we are the first application, download on App Store. Now we're gonna focus on Play Store. So the idea is to be global everywhere in the world and bring more and more player. Since about the market now, the market on the Web3 and the gaming is going low. It's really complicated, for a project to exist. However, we prove to everyone that whatever the condition of the market, whatever the price of the Bitcoin or Ether, whatever any kind of thing, we can be the number one. And this is very great thing.
Beautiful. So you're right. If you're not good, you get crushed by Web2. We're not in a bifurcated, separated arena. It's the same arena. But if you're great, then you can crush Web2. So that's what you've done. That's what you are doing. Tell our listeners about your game and about the mechanics and
Yes, sure. So across the ages, the first game, because like we will have like several. The first TCG, it's a card gaming. It's a mix of chess, Go, and strategy game. The idea is you have 5 minutes. I have 5 minutes. You have 30 cards, and you have to create your own strategy to beat your opponent. It's mathematic, very strategic, super addictive, and it's really great because like you enjoy the time. It's like when you play to a chess match. The idea is to go deeper because we created a different card with a power element based on the lore. The story of Cross the Ages is pretty original because we created the lore first. So we created a book, and like the game is based on a book. Imagine that you have a kind of Harry Potter or Game of Thrones, and you created a game on top of that. This is exactly what we've done. We not created the book after the game. We created the story first, and then we created like the game. So it's a TCG. It has to be like a niche, but like it's a very strategic game. And after that, we're gonna open the game to more people because the idea is to create a different kind of experience. So today, the first experience of Cross the Ages, it's a card gaming, a TCG game with a digital card where you can transform your card into NFT, and you can transform your NFT into NFC physical card that you can buy, sell, and whatever you want, and rent also.
Groundbreaking, amazing. That sort of digital connection and that really compelling core gaming loop built on top of a layer of this delicious, just world class lore. Like that's how you do games. And you know how to do games. And I'm going to dig into that in a minute. But I'd love to hear your transition, if you will, from gaming into Web3, how like your origin story and how you got bitten by a radioactive Web3 spider and became this superhero in Web3 space almost accidentally.
Yeah, almost accidentally. The story starts in COVID time, so it was summer, like August of 2020, with my co-founder Richard Esteve, and it's like we are pretty close. Like we used to do deal business together and working on different topic. And like he come to say, okay, we have to be partner, and I created the company together. I say yes, but like I'm building video game on Web 2 for more than 10 years. I'm like I don't need help since I'm doing that from scratch. And he say, okay, I have something that you never seen before. It's like blockchain, crypto, and NFT. I say, okay, what is that? And like he started to explain me how it works. The idea was like initially, since I'm a huge collector of card gaming. I start when I was 9, Magic the Gathering.
And we're going to dig deep into that origin story. I love that hero's journey. Yeah.
Have you seen like your card like with the price? And say yes. So imagine that you play to a game, a digital game, and then you give an identity to all the digital cards. So all those cards will be unique, and like you can sell it and you can rent it. And like I was pretty surprised about like the concept of the blockchain and like the NFT, because for me it was the first time that I heard about that. So we start like in this like a summer to think about it, and in the end of the year 2020, I start like to found like the first partner, a writer. So I asked him, if he can like help me, to create the story, because like I was sure, since I start to see like the ecosystem, Axie Infinity was here, Sandbox was here, CryptoKitty was here, like there are many competitors. I said, okay, for sure, if I have to come, I will need at least 2 years to prepare myself. We will put our own money, so we will come here, but like we're not asking any kind of raise or something like that, and we're gonna go and dig, inside like across the ages. So we took time. We took time to create something. So we hire 7 writers, international writers, the biggest name in Europe, like people working on the biggest saga, selling millions of books, and they all accept because like the topic was super deep. The storyline of Cross the Ages is talking about a transition, revolution, and changing between what we're living today, because it's a dystopia between what we have today in our world and what we can be in the future. And more you're gonna read the book, more you're gonna see how it's super close to us, and like you will have like some solution across the ages that we can apply in our world. And like when the writers see that they will have like a very large flexibility and being able to go deeper and like very they can make something, meaning something, and like being able to help, a lot of people. So they say they accept. In the same time, we ask to international artists, more than 110 accepts, and like you have inside part of the team of Harry Potter, Game of Thrones, Star Wars, Marvel, DC Comics, League of Legends, The Witcher, and like all those people, they accept, to sign like the writer for the 10 year, and like with that, when we come to see like the first people, the first investor, people say, "Oh wow, are you serious? You already made that?" I say yes. So we spend 1 year, like super hidden, like not asking nothing for anyone, and to come to see like the investor to say, okay, this is just a preparation. It's not the game yet. It's a GDD, a game design document. It's an idea of how we're gonna build that. And like in the end of 2021, it was in November. This is the first day where like accidentally we start the raise.
Fantastic. Man, there's so much to peel back there. So, every startup is idea, then team, then product, then some sort of random number from 0 to 10 million that you get assigned based on that. But you can make your random number much higher by making something that people want. And to really start with story, like yourself in your bones that story is what people want for games. People want to be invested, people want to be connected. And then for you to be able to pull together that team and all of those excellent people, both on the writing side and on the graphic side. I mean, that's extraordinary. I teach a MBA class and I do a lot of mentoring of startups, and I tell, in this very volatile, uncertain world right now, storytelling, like with Gen AI. But you know what? Humans need to be able to direct that, and being able to understand storytelling and to be a good storyteller like you are, to be able to inspire people to come on board and be your writer and be your graphic designer and be your staff and be your investor and be your partner. I mean, you're extraordinary at it. I think it's something that you truly understand. So excellent origin story. I really appreciate it. And then you went to a dinner, as I understand it, right?
Yeah, yeah. So, like, just before to explain you what's happened about the dinner, you're absolutely right. I think that everything is related to emotion. If you are able to create an emotion, to the people, it's a game changer. Um, a game you have like 100, 200 new game release every day. So how do you do, when you are one game, on like a top of like how many game, 1,000, 100,000 game already exists. So this is the thing very important, and the thing that no one have to forget about. If you want to dig something, you need to create a story with a lot of emotion where everyone will feel like inside himself. About like the dinner, it was the 9 November 2021. I was invited by Sébastien Bourget that I met maybe like a few hours before in the token
Co-founder of the Sandbox, for those of you out there.
for the people that did not know him. And we start to have a talk together. And they say, "Oh man, I'm super surprised. I don't know that there are some guy like you, like building game, like owner of six studio of gaming. It's pretty funny. We have the same age, and it's so nice. So I'm doing a dinner with a blockchain gaming alliances in a restaurant tonight. Do you want to join?" I say, yes, obviously I want to join. And like on the same night where like I come just with my phone, like no preparation about like how I'm gonna pitch or whatever, because like it wasn't like the idea. I start like to explain to a guy close to me that's what I was doing, And this guy, I don't know him, like I never seen him before. It was just like the CEO of Axie Infinity. And then, he said, what? I never invest usually, but I will put a ticket on it. And say, oh yeah, really? I say, yes, I want to support you. I used to be like a professional of Magic the Gathering, and like you told me that you played to Magic the Gathering too, and like you was inspired by Magic the Gathering. I say, yes, yes, indeed. And then like in few minutes before, like Square Enix come, Animoca, like every people like Swissborg, like they all like joined on the same night. It was like pretty impressive. It was, I remember like, because it used to be like the bull run, but it was super fast because like after this dinner, uh, I used like to didn't have like any kind of connection. I'm not a guy from the Web3, so I don't know a lot of people. So this was like my first real event. I just take a plane, it was London. I take my ticket and I come like a random traveler and say, okay, I'm gonna see like how it's work. And honestly, like I was blessed. It was super quick that intro made another intro to made another intro in the same night. I start to have like my first connection to the people, and then like I received so much connection invitation to say, oh, this guy told us about the project, and like people come and like the reality is in less than 1 month we get 68 VC on board across the ages. No one was business angel, just company. We get like more than 274 meeting, like an average of 16 meetings per day. It was completely insane. So like say, okay, how do we do now? Oh, we don't have enough space, and like we limit. Everyone told me like raise more. I said no, I can't. I have a limit. I have a number. I work like very deeply to be sure that this is gonna work, and yeah, like this is exactly how the story starts.
Beautiful story. Wow. You almost close the round between appetizer and dinner. I've never,
Something.
the gauntlet has been thrown. Some of you out there, you need to close the round between first course and second course. And then, yeah, that's not going to happen again. But you said you're blessed. Indeed you are. But you also make your own luck. I think that you've really shown to other people what you can do. And you have 1 decade of grinding away and building and doing, dev hell and live ops and optimization and getting covered in scabs and calluses and scar tissue like armor so that you can go back into battle, uh, donning that armor and making new mistakes, but being a very seasoned warrior.
You know that when you say that created your own opportunity. In fact, when you think about it, it's real. That you can ask to the people. They can say no, but they can say yes. So what do you have to lose? In all the case, you just have to ask. It's like it's worth nothing. You just have to ask. So, okay, I have this. What do you think about it? And like if you don't create this opportunity, how do you want to be able to do it? The reality is, I'm the perfect example of a guy coming into the Web3 and like with zero connection. That I used to know no one before, and it's possible. It's possible, to create your name, to like being, successful, and like to have like a very great connection, since you just have to do it and to dig and like never surrender, never retreat, and like trying to do it. And even when you have like this kind of doubt to say, okay, but like what, maybe he will think nothing. You just have to do it. You don't care. You just have to ask and to say, okay, I have this in my hand. What do you think about it? Very simple.
Fantastic. You're right in that some people listening may think, wow, I don't have 10 years of experience and I don't have all these successes under my belt. And a lot of startups, the number one way that startups fail is actually founder conflict. And then even if you run out of money, you can still keep, there's many different ways to die as a startup. But I would contend that the number one way to die as a startup is in your mind before you even start. A lot of people are afraid to do the ask or don't think that they can actually do it. So they never actually take the risk or venture out there. And what's the worst that can happen? Just like when you're, ask somebody also out on a date, you have to be comfortable with that rejection. But, my wife, beautiful, amazing relationship, she should have said no. And she said no the first time, but then she said yes. And it's the best thing that I ever did. And you have to do the ask. And next thing you know, things can happen. So let's go one more step backwards. Let's talk about that 10-year startup journey in 6 different studios and what you learned along the way. And then after that, we'll go back to your very, very origin story back when you're 9 years old collecting cards. But tell us about your entrepreneurial journey. Let's go, Sami, in reverse.
Okay, when do you want to start? At 9, at 20?
let's start at your 10-year journey before that in doing gaming, and like what kind of companies you did and what were some of the products and some of the trials and tribulations and triumphs along the way.
So this is pretty funny because it was like a cross in my life. I think like cross the ages is not a random name. Um, when I before like I starting the video game, I spent 8 years of my life on the game on the audiovisual sector. So like my job was several kind of job. So I start to be a driver in a company just to drive people and like bring them to like a point one to point two. And then I used to be like assistant of production, starting to understand how like a movie used to work, and I become a charge of production, like being in charge of all the money, of product. And then I become finally a producer of movie. Like I produce a long movie, documentary, short movie, many kind of thing, getting like reward, on my work. Was pretty proud, but like pretty unhappy also. My wife was pregnant on this time, and the question was like, what's gonna be my life? Did I want like to have like a fake life there, like just showing to the people and telling to everyone that I'm producer of what, or like doing something that I will feel very comfortable. This feeling comfortable was like to it was funny, like dig and find treasure. So all my life, I used to believe that finding treasure was like the culminant, at like the highest point of my life. This treasure was like finding on like every Saturday morning, Sunday morning, on a place where like people was selling many kind of thing, like it's gonna be game, but book and whatever. And like I wake up super early at 4 in the morning and like buying this kind of stuff and selling that on eBay. I think like on this time, everyone was thinking that I become like completely mad and say, okay, we lost him. Like he's crazy. He's completely stupid. He used to earning winning money and like he's starting from nothing. And like I remember the first month I was so happy. I sold for 1,000 euro end of the month, like selling something that my mother used to help me. We had like 9 meters square, like it was like my room where I put out my bed and just putting like some place to put like my gaming that I used to sell. The second month we sold for maybe like 3K, and I say okay, something is happening. End of the year, I remember it was December 2011. I sold for like 9K. I say okay, I don't have enough just to take a salary, but I will take someone to help me and to prepare like to sell this kind of thing. Quickly, I understood a thing very interesting is the selling, video game, used video game like retro game of Mega Drive, Super Nintendo is interesting, but like very limited to a niche people. And I need like to sell a new kind of game, a new kind of product, like a new video game of Sony, PlayStation, and all this kind of thing. So I went directly, to shop like the selling, they made sales, two times per year, and say, okay, before the sales, maybe you want to sell to me, the game. And the guy say, yes. So I say, okay, I just ask, he can say no, but he say yes. So directly, I start like to see not one, not two, but 10, 20, and taking my car and like doing like all these different, a shop, like a big like supermarket and like all this kind of stuff. It was not easy. It was like a 2013. At the same time, I understand like very quickly that I was able to create something very interesting. So in 2014, I created my first startup called Russian Game. This startup is still like available today. So it's a marketplace. It's not marketplace. It's like a website, a private sell website where like every Tuesday I sell for the people a new video game for a cheap price. So like people with kids, they can come and buying game for Nintendo DS and like all this stuff for $10. So I'm buying them, for 5, selling for 10. Everyone was happy. And like starting to sell like a 5, 10, 100,000 game, more and more game. And 1 year after, because it was end of 2024, beginning of 2015, 2016, I went, to an event of publisher, and like in France, you have a company called Vente Privée. It's like the biggest company. Like I think like the valuation is 4 billion, and like they're doing this kind of stuff, but like for everything, not for the gaming, but for everything. They just sell private sell for everything. And I went to this event with my costume, like too big for me. I said, okay. I went like to knock the door to the publisher, like no one knew me, and say, I'm like a representative of Van Privé, because like my site was one Van Privé, but not the real one. And like on the 12 people, like a 12 publisher, everyone say no, but like two of them, it was Capcom and Bandai, they accept. When we started, like,
Oh, wow. Two big ones. Two big fish.
yes, because like you have like the 12 biggest, so you have Activision, Microsoft, Nintendo, Ubisoft, all of them was here, and like two of them accept, like to receive me, like on the on the floor, and say, okay, like we are completely full, but I will give you like a meeting. So the first was Capcom, the second was Bandai, and I remember like I started to talk to the guy from Bandai, and like maybe 5 minutes after our conversation, they said, who are you exactly? I said, I'm Sami, the guy from, Van Privé, Russian game. He said, but what is Russian game? I said, it's a website. He said, but I don't care. I was like, you're not Van Privé. I said, yes, but now you're here. You don't want to listen to me? He said, okay. And after the conversation, maybe like it was 40 minutes, he said, okay, you know what? Explain me one thing. This cake, you have Amazon, Cdiscount, like GameStop, all the company. Where are you on this cake? What is like your part of the market? And I remember I told him, I'm not here. I'm in another cake. I created something that doesn't exist. My job is to create a sale before that I'm not touching to the market. I created my own market and my own opportunity. I made private sale, and I'm sure that I can be able to sell your game very well. If you give me an advantage, like give me the way, to do it. And you know what? They give me my chance. And like I'm very grateful because like they give me exactly the same condition than Amazon. It was completely insane. I was so small, and like everyone told me that it's not gonna be possible. From that, my life changed. It was like the departure of everything. And for me, like as human being able to do something where you don't have any kind of money, I start with nothing. People like when I start cross the age say, okay, you have money to start. The reality is when I start, I come from like a very modest family. We don't have like this way or like this 10, 20, 40, 50K to start. I start with nothing, literally nothing. And then, from that, it was a huge success. 2016 was a huge success. Like we proved to everyone that we are able from nowhere with no money to doing organic communication, marketing communication, doing a street communication, reach the people, touch the people, doing even I remember I go to the people and I knock to the door. I say, do you know this website? I say, get out. I say, just see, you will see it's gonna be nice. And then like I never stop, to do it. From that, everything changed. In 2017, we start to have money, and like literally like between 2016 2017, because it was end of 2016, it was a massive success across the ages. And the idea was to not focus only on buying game to selling game, but maybe to do something deeper, created our own game. So 2016, we bought our first studio, Storyboard Studio, a French studio. And from this year to today, every year we become owner of a new studio. So the first was in France, and after that the second was in Japan, the third was in England and Hungary, and after that it became like Brazil and also like Thailand. And like step by step, we start to buy studio, developing game, release game. The same year after, like we buy the studio, we made game like with a lot of success, doing million of download, and like we received the agreement from Nintendo. The agreement from Nintendo is a graal. You can't imagine the value of that. So today, we are able to release any kind of game on Nintendo in Europe, in Japan, in the US, because it's three different agreements for PlayStation, for Xbox also. So if I want to release a game, like if tomorrow when we're gonna have like the democratization of the gaming, the Web3 to the Web2, and people say, okay, Web2 accept like game on console, I just have to put on a button and like release my game everywhere. And this has no value, absolutely no value. And from that, we start to release game and we made success. And like we released more than, let's say 55 video game today in like 7 years. So it's pretty high, like rhythm. And like some game was already prepared and like we release it. Some other game is like um, original content. And even when I start across the ages, the machine was like launch, and like my partner, I continue to release game, and 2021, like end of 2021, after the raise in 2022, I quit everything just to focus on cross the ages and like to be 100% fully focused, on cross. So this is the timeline about what's happened for to me.
Absolutely amazing. I didn't know that Bandai story and your entire hero's journey as a driver, producer, game guy, crossing the street, crossing the town as a driver, and crossing an industry all the way to cross the ages. But we talked about doing that ask, and you did that ask. That is absolute. And the guy took the chance on you, and that was an inflection point changing your life. But to be able, like a lot of people in the .com space say something like, oh, we're the, Twitter for enterprise, or we're the, eBay for, uh, some sort of specific industry. And you just like, we're the Von Privé of gaming, and we're, Russian market. And you use that. It was a little bit, it was very ballsy, very ballsy. And you did the ask, and it worked. And I love that story. What happened with that Bandai first partnership that you did? What were the results?
So with Bandai, I remember it was for the release of a game called Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2. And I told them that my site was able to sell more than 1,000 copy. And, if you take like the big player, they buy for, let's say, 25 to 50K. So what is 1K, when you have like the biggest, but like whatever, they understood that they will be able to have a new audience, and like they will bet on me, since I was small, but like they say, okay, you know what, we want to believe in you. And this is exactly what's happened. They believe in me. From that, it was pretty amazing, because like when you have a name like Bandai, the other that told me no and like we don't care, like Capcom come back and say, okay, you know what? I will give you a chance. Let's see like if you're able to do it. And like everyone give me my chance. Publisher by publisher. And like every month, every 2 months, absolutely all of them, almost all of them, they accept, to be partner with us. And like we start like to sell all the product, for all the publisher. So just to show you that when you do and when you make a good job, you do it well. You have to take your time to do it. But the reality is, if you're right and you're doing well, people will give you a chance. If your job is perfect and you finish it and you show to everyone that what you're doing is good, why not? Even if you're small.
Amazing. What kind of sales were you doing for them?
So first I sell, for them like all the new games. So I have like 8 weeks to sell a new game. Like if a game is coming, it's a pre-sale of a game. So I'm selling like a pre-sale for the new game, and then when the partnership become deeper, they accept, to sell me the unsold item. And the unsold item was completely insane for us, because like this was like a perfect fit. Everyone know me, for the unsold, not for the pre-sale. And like I start to sell like so much game. I think it was in a COVID time, and like even before, we used to sell 2,000 game per day in average.
Wow. So you're talking 60K per month instead of you're like, oh, 1K, but it's like literally 60x that.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
So wow. So I just watched Air, the movie about Air Jordan, and how nobody wanted to believe about that somebody could have their own shoe, or that this unproven sort of rookie yourself was a real stone cold killer competitor. And they agreed to sell the shoe and give Michael Jordan a piece of it. And at the end, Phil Knight says, it's probably just like $3 million a year. So he'll get 10% of that. It'll be, 300,000 bucks. They sold 162 million. So about 55x of what they expected, right? So it's pretty similar. And he now makes $1 billion a year just from Air Jordan. It's really, really, really fascinating. So I wanted to dig deeper because I love the details of that. So you found your niche, and then buying a studio a year every year around the world, and then that leads into now. That's amazing.
Do you want to see something? Yeah, do you want something?
Do I want to see something? Yes. What do you got?
This is the book of Phil Knight, about like him.
Oh, so you're a big fan. That's Shoe Dog.
Is it random? So just to tell you that this is the kind of thing that I love, like this kind of story, from people coming from nowhere, and like no one used to believe that he's able.
But you're Phil Knight and Michael Jordan and Sonny Vaccaro. You're all three of those guys. Yes, you are. You absolutely are. So let's go back. I love your humble beginnings. Your parents are immigrants into France, and there's a really good statistic that shows that immigrants or first generation are really terrific entrepreneurs because you're just like, you know what? You can't hurt me. I see what my, I've immigrated and I've struggled, or I see what my parents have done. And like, it's all still there in the morning when I wake up. Like it's most of entrepreneurship is just about like, is that it? Is that the best you can do? Is really, I'm going to keep going. Like in the movie Forrest Gump, when Sergeant Dan is up in the top of the mast and he has no legs and he's like, is that the best you can do? And like there's a hurricane and he's just like, bring it on. Right. And I think you do that with a smile and you're just like, okay, I'll just bring it. I'm very happy to take more. So tell me about when you're 9 years old and you really get into cards, because my boys are really into Pokemon and Magic the Gathering. And I see that passion. And you took it to a whole nother level. So tell us that story, please.
Okay, so I would try to give you like every time an exclusive content. The idea is to give you something that I never tell to anyone before. When I was 9, my brother was a huge geek of Dungeon and Dragon. So he's playing, to the role playing game, and like he used to create the story. I remember this time because like he bring at home pack of Magic the Gathering cards. And funny story, I don't have like any kind of money when I was a kid, but like at school, they're selling, a newspaper, the newspaper of the school that you sell it, for like $2 or whatever. And when people sold maybe like one or two for the parents, I sold 20 of them because I go to the street and I sell to anyone. I said, this is a new paper for the school, please take it. And like people buy it. Why I tell you that? When I come, I bring like so much money, to the school, and I get this idea. When I was 9, I said, you know what? If I do that for school, why I'm not gonna be able to do it for myself? So what's happened? I go to the street and I found like some old book, and I take like a trolley and I put all these book, and I go to the people and say, I have some book I want to sell. I sell it like $2 a book. And you know what? I remember that I used to sell, let's say, for $100 like per day. And with this money, I didn't say to anyone. I just buy some pack that I keep. And like this pack, I get like many of them. I didn't say to anyone, even my brother, but I start to keep it. Then we leave like from Paris to Marseille. I keep like this treasure with me, and I start like to work very young, from 12 to 15. I go into school, but the morning for Saturday and Sunday, I wake up at 5 in the morning to getting a little bit of money. Directly, I understand that I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that again in my life. It's very complicated, but it was like one of the biggest experience because you understand exactly what do you want and what you don't want. At the same time, I started, to trade some cards. So when I was 15, I started to have like a lot of boxes. And when I was 16, I asked to my mother if she allowed me, to go to another country. But she told me why. I said, I want to trade my card. I say, what card? I said, this card, I want to trade it. So I start like to do that. I remember that when I come back, After the weekend, it was in euro, and I bring to my home 1,150 euro profit, and my mom like start to scare, and she said to my brother, your brother is selling drugs, like he gets too much money. And like my brother come into the room and say, what are you doing and why do you have this money? And like I explain him, and he say, okay, you know what, give me 20%, and I say nothing to my parents and they can do it again. I said, no, 20% is too much. He said 15. I said 10. I give you 10% every time of all like the money I will get. And like, you leave me alone. So he accepts and I give him 10%. And from that, I remember it was pretty funny because like I met so much people. You know what? 80% of the people invest across the ages was on this kind of tournament. Like Alexander was a professional player. Cyrus from Sisborg was a professional player. Sebastien Bourget from Sandbox was a player and collector of Magic the Gathering. It's completely insane to see like how this universe of Magic is gather all these entrepreneurs together. Why? Because it's a bright game when you have to think about it. And for many years, from 17 to 22, I used to go to this country and like just selling, the card like on my bag to say like traffic, I say they want my card and blah blah blah, doing that for maybe 5 or 6 years. Then I created a company with my partner. Like I found someone like very trustable, and we created one of the biggest company on trading card, selling card everywhere in Europe, starting like to sell like Magic, and after that Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh and all these kind of game. This company is still like existing today, and like this is one of the major company in Europe of selling physical cards. On the same time, every month, I used to buy boxes that I keep sealed, and I remember because like these boxes, this is the first boxes when I get when I was kid. Everyone told me, why you don't sell it? The price is rising now. Like you paid $100, is 1,000. You do extend, sell it. You're stupid. And say, oh no 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 no, it's not good time. And it become like 10K. And people say, sell it. You do 100x. Why you don't sell it? Why are you doing that? And say, oh no 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 no, it's not good time. And like we're coming close to 2018, 2019. So like, imagine that I used to be 9 and like I have like more than 35, and people say, why you don't sell it? I say, you know what? When is going to be the time I will sell it? And it become 100,000. But people don't tell me that I'm stupid. They just tell me, what do you think about the market? And I told them that if something going to happen that's block everyone and like something major where everyone will need the card, I will sell it on this time, trying to sell it on this time. COVID starts, the box explode, and I sold maybe like 6 boxes for 2 million. And this was the first money I put on Cross the Agent. True story.
Wow, 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 wow. I'm not done yet. Wow, 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 wow. I mean, this is like a throwaway side story. Of course, it's very integral to who you are and what you're doing now, but what a story on so many levels. It's just, I mean, first of all, you're right. Magic the Gathering is a magical gathering of entrepreneurs. There really is this self-selected strategy and attention to detail and geekiness and lover of story and art and everything else. And that just is a collector for people that are perfectly suited to create digital experiences like that. So that's amazing. And number two, like your hustle as a kid growing up, like that's like Yat, the founder of Animoca, he has a similar story where he grew up in this musical family in Vienna, and his mom was a famous opera singer from Taiwan. His dad's a musician from Hong Kong, and his mom would go on tour and leave Austrian shillings behind. Here's some cash for you. He's a tween teen, and then she started coming back, and there would be more money on stacked on top of that, different currencies, because he was coding cassettes and selling them online, and then people would mail him envelopes of cash, and he would mail them the cassette. So he's making all of this money as well too. And it seems like, oh my God, what kind of stuff are you doing? When are you going to get arrested? And it turns out, just absolutely creating value and giving people what they want. So that's an excellent early indicator. And then my favorite story though is like that's extraordinary for you to be able to hold. Like that's a real superpower, because it's, you talked about how it was just this blessing and amazing timing for Web3, but it was like you smelled it, you were ready, and you sold at the top of the market for that. So it's like your ability to be able to delay gratification and to be able to just wait 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, now, boom. Like that's also incredible. So I'll stop there, and I'm just, blown away.
You know, the funny story, the first platform in 2013 to exchange and Bitcoin was a magic platform. And like everyone knows the story. I remember that because in 2013 with my co-founder, like Nicolas, from the gaming, the card gaming company, uh, we made a deal to get Bitcoin for like dollars to exchange against Magic the Gathering card. And like this Bitcoin was like in a wallet that like no one touched it for like a long time until like the price become like completely insane. My job is very simple. I'm a holder. I have the patience to wait for everything. I'm not looking, for like a rapid success or to getting something quickly. I had that. I have all my time. Since, I don't feel it, I'm not doing it. I have all my time to wait. Since, for example, when people ask us when we start like the project, they say, okay, just launch your token now. It's a bull run. Do it now. You will make money. I say, no way. It's not going to happen. I say, why? It's not going to happen. Even now, the token is not released. Say why? This is not a good time. Believe me, when I will do it, it's gonna be perfect for everyone, for the gamer, for the investor, for I care about everyone. My job is to make the right decision to the right time, and I have to fit it. If I don't fit it, I'm not gonna do it. I accept to fail, but I will wait for the perfect time to do my choice.
Beautiful. That's reflected in the game as well too, because people know this isn't just a money grab. This isn't just Ponzonomics. This is something real. And I think also back to Yat as well too, how he's become Mr. Metaverse and this kind of spokesperson for Web3, because he's not doing it to, he's post-economic like yourself. He's there to build something bigger and to add value and to have everybody win around that. And I think that's really important in game economy as well too, to have that and to have the comfort that you're going to be able to really enjoy the game without it going off the rails because somebody's just trying to think short term. So let's shift gears to the final topic I'd love to cover is, so people that are out there that are interested in building games, building Web3 stuff, what's a lesson that you kind of wish you learned along the way, or what can you share in terms of a painful experience that's now turned into really something valuable? Because it's great to learn from experience. It's much better to learn from other people's experience.
Yeah, true. But like if you think about it, when you start like as you and your position, and you heard about Sari of Fiat, of like Sebastian, of Sami, of like all those people, you think there's something common, on all those people. They are a true believer. They really believe in what they're doing. The reality is, if you want to have a success, you really need to believe, and like you will have so much opportunity to scare about the situation and say, okay, now maybe it's not good. The only thing can make the dream not possible is a scare about the fear. It like to have like this fear in your mind, in your heart, in your body to say, I'm not gonna able to do it. The fear, the fear, just the thinking of the fear is worse than the fear himself. And this is like a very huge point. You just have to do it. What's gonna happen? Your life is so short. And then, do you think a fail is a fail? It's not a fail, it's success. Fail is not fail, it's a success. And this you have to print it in your mind. You just have to restart again, again, again. Why? You don't know the story of Jack Ma? He failed everything. Going to McDonald's, he failed. Going a policeman, he failed. All his life, he failed. He do Alibaba, he failed. No, he success. We don't care about how many times you fail. We just care about like what is your perseverance. What is the time you're gonna restart again, again? The big difference for me between like guy to another guy. is a mindset, like the way to never surrender, to say, okay, I will do it. Not be stupid, not say, okay, this failed, I will redo the same fail. No way. Just accept that you have to improve it. Redraw the copy. We start from the beginning. Say, yes, but I'm tired. Okay, but stop it. So usually people keep borrowing to do that, or they don't want, or they don't have like the mindset to do it. Just to be sure that I want to explain something to everyone. It's not a native ability. It's not a gift. I'm not a Superman. I'm a random guy. The only thing, the difference between me and the other, I restart so many times until I found it. And like, when people ask me, okay, please give me an advice, I say, okay, first of all, you have to take your time to do it. Never go too quick. Just take the time to understand. The idea is not like to be rich at 20. We don't care about that. The only thing is to be able to do it and like to create a plan. I draw a plan. I know exactly what I have to do, and I know where I want to go. I have my time to do it. Now I'm not hurried. I just have to do it. And then you have to find the right people close to you, able like to create a symphony. Don't have like only a guy playing guitar, but finding people playing piano, finding people playing to the other instruments. And when you have your team, here we go. Just go together, and like being able to be like the Brown and the group to create this sound that people say, wow, I want another music, guys. All my job, everything we made from the beginning was that. If you see what we made like in few months, year for Cross the Ages, we created two kind of experience. The first experience was the book, the story, the universe, and people start to love that. But we do something more than that. We created a content called the Roadshow. It's like a video that we release every 2 weeks. This Roadshow, we start like to record that more than 2 years ago, where everyone told me, this is not going to be possible. You're not going to be able to have a success. Like every game is Ponzi, or like it's not going to work. I say, okay, let's record that. Let's prove to the time that we will do it. Today, I'm in front of you. We are the top one app store, and this is just the beginning. Believe me when I told you that we're going to create the legend, the legacy, and I believe it in bottom of my heart. So what we're doing is like every 2 weeks now, we're releasing an episode of 5 to 10 minutes, where you're not going to see Sami talking, but you're going to see like Dunya, Luis, Quanti, Ting, and you're going to love those people. Why? Because they are human like you. But like you never know who is behind the company. With that, you will understand one thing, very important thing, the power of human. If you believe in the human, if you believe in the nature of human, and you found the good people, the right people, you can, be and sit like in front of anywhere. My company is, we have like 80 people, and like I'm not scared, to fight against people with 20K people in front. I don't care of the number. We're gonna do something that they never made before. We're gonna make them shake, and like we created like a kind of earthquake. Like people say, what's happened, But you don't have the money, we don't care. You don't have what? I just have like the ambition to do it without any kind of ego, or like, any kind of, bad thing to say I'm better than the other. This is not true. Me alone, I can't do it. Me with people, we can do it, It's like always this idea of collective intelligence. And we do something deeper. You know what I'm doing? I took all my community and I tell them, okay, be the new guy of my team. Bring me the idea. I'll give you this opportunity, to join your spirits, your power, your think, and put it here on the project. And we took so much from the community as a guy from a company. So they're working well, and like they are very, they interact, and like they are really, really involved on the project. And this is why, when you see like the metrics of growth, more metrics, and the number of people in our community, since like all the project is going low, it's like going up, up, up. You see the retweets, you see the LinkedIn, you say, come on, what is this metrics? Is it fake? And when you dig, you see like this is the people for the community. They all reply, all repost, all comment, like they are completely, devoted to the project. And they believe and they understood that with their power and with our skill, we can do something that people will see. We was invisible. Now we are visible. And now after the visible, we're gonna be here on the place and people say, okay, you are like a real pure gamer and like you can create something and maybe you're gonna be the game. Maybe you're gonna be the game to cross the Web 2 to the Web 3, being like the tree of union between like two universes. It's not that across the ages.
Hey, beautiful. Crossing from Web 2 to Web 3. That is beautiful. Mindset of Sami Chlagou. My favorite commercial with Michael Jordan, where it says, be like Mike. And he's like, I have missed most of the shots that I've taken. And, I had to do that to be who I am now. So be like Sami, everybody. Be
Better
like
than
Sami.
me.
And your
Be better than me.
maestro comment,
Be,
like to
be better than me.
be better. And people can be. How do you get better than Sami? Is that you leverage other people. So if you think about somebody like Steve Jobs, he really didn't know how to code or anything about hardware, or he was a maestro bringing together the best orchestra. And then he was the conductor, making everybody make beautiful music together. And that's an absolute just gem. And I think that mindset of, oh, I've already decided I'm going to do this. It's going to suck. Of course it's going to suck, but I've already made the decision. It's too late now. And I believe in this and I'm going to push it through. And your belief and your conviction in yourself and your idea, that's what made that guy from Bandai believe in you, because he couldn't not believe in you because you had such conviction. And then from there, Capcom and everybody else just fell in line and you willed it into existence. And that's a really beautiful story. You really walk the walk and talk the talk. And we're going to link your roadshow videos in the show notes. And I love them. They're very real and very human and great stories. And people on your team love what they do and they love the company and they love you, which is unsurprising. And I am also a founder and member of the Sami Chlagou fan club. So thank you for taking the time. That was absolutely fantastic. As advertised. Thanks everybody and for listening. And
thank you very much for having me.
Thank you. Thank you, Sami. That was great.
This podcast is for information purposes only and should not be considered as financial advice. Any opinions provided in this podcast reflect the views of the speakers only.